You're watching NFL Daily, and it's mailbag time. Mitchell Renz from Chat Sports, ready to answer all of y'all's questions. This first one's coming in from Taylor Holland. Why do you think the Denver Broncos are not considering Brian Daboll? I think he would be perfect. I think Brian Daboll would be a good head coach in Denver because of a defensive mind. However, I personally think he's going to go, or Brian Daboll, I was thinking of Brian Flores. Brian Daboll would be a great offensive-minded guy for Denver, yes, and you're trying to go out and find a quarterback. I just don't think Daboll wants to go to the AFC West. I mean, you got to deal with the Raiders, which personally I think the Raiders is a better head coaching job than the Broncos would be. On top of that, you got to deal with the Chargers. You got to deal with the Chiefs. There's a lot of other easier routes to go, but yeah, he should be interviewed. Personally, up to me. If there's a head coaching opening, Brian Daboll should be interviewed. Let's go to Frankie P. I think Washington would be a top fit for Russell Wilson. If I was Russell Wilson, if I could pick any team that I wanted to go to in the NFC East, not named the Dallas Cowboys because they have Dak Prescott, it would be the New York Giants. It wouldn't be Washington for the simple fact of I think Washington is in a better position than New York to win football games because of their defense. However, Russ is going to want to go to a big-time market. If I'm a betting man, which I am, I actually think that Russell Wilson is going to end up going to the New York Giants. Let's go to Orlando Scandrick. Who has the best chance to be the next Dolphins head coach? Well, good question. I know I've actually already done a Brian Flores replacements video on our Dolphins YouTube channel. If you haven't checked it out, please go ahead and do so. If I was Miami, I would try to get Kellen Moore in there for the simple fact of Kellen Moore, really smart quarterback, and I'm not just saying that because Tua's a lefty. I actually think that he could help Tua grow. One of the biggest reasons why Miami decided to move on from Brian Flores was Flores wanted Deshaun Watson. He didn't believe in Tua. You need to be able to find somebody who believes in Tua. So Brian Daboll, Kellen Moore, those would probably be my top two options if I was the Miami Dolphins. All right, y'all, we got a question coming in now, and I want to ask y'all, who is the best quarterback left in the playoffs? I want you to scroll on down in the comments section. Let me know. You can go with Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, Josh Allen. Is there anybody else? Matthew Stafford. I think you're crazy. Joe Burrow. I wouldn't say you're totally crazy, but I think it's either Josh Allen, it's either Tom Brady, or it's Patrick Mahomes. Let's go to N1GHT Fox. Should the Broncos trade for Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, or draft a quarterback? If you're Denver, and if you're almost any team in the National Football League, if Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers are interested in joining your team, you try to figure out every way to do it. And specifically for Denver, they have 5 picks in the top 100, so they can do a lot of stuff. They can make a lot of stuff happen. But if you're going to go out and trade for a quarterback, those are the top 2 guys to do it. Maybe Deshaun Watson, depending on his legal cases. Let's go to Jesse Gonzalez. Should the Cowboys draft? No. Or sign one in free agency to complete? No. I mean, if you want to draft a quarterback, it's personally not the route I'm going to go. If I'm the Dallas Cowboys, I personally am not going to try to draft somebody young to learn behind Dak because they're never going to play. Maybe if you want to go out and sign a veteran in free agency, that's a route. But I think Dallas does what they did this year. You have Dak. If you lose Dak, it's going to be rough anyway, so why spend a lot of money in a backup? Let's go to Douglas Anderson. What are the chances that Mayock gets a job with ESPN or one of the major networks after failing as a GM with the Raiders? So I saw a rumor out there. They're like, oh, I can't believe a team would or a company would hire Mayock after he failed with the Raiders. I mean, there's people all over the place. Like, I don't know. There's NFL analysts everywhere who were terrible where they were before, and now they're trying to do it on television. I think Mayock does end up getting a gig. I don't know where it's going to be, but there's going to be somebody who hires him on name and merit alone. I mean, Mayock's not dumb. I think he knows what he's talking about. He also kind of got thrown in there with John Gruden. Let's go to DeGoat33. Who should the Patriots aim for? I think you mean in free agency, unless you mean to re-sign. If I was New England, the number one guy that I'd probably go after and target that's realistic is Allen Robinson. Really good wide receiver. He can also block. You need to be able to find a number one for Mac Jones. So if I was New England, that's personally the route I would go. Now, if anybody wants to bet on the NFL playoff games this weekend, next weekend, and you can even bet on the Pro Bowl, but then you got to be an absolute degenerate. And if you're betting on the Pro Bowl, call that number down there. You can also bet on the Super Bowl, though, chatsports.com/bet. Promo code NFL Daily. That's going to get you the 125% deposit bonus. What does that mean? It means if you put down $100, you're going to get $125 for free to bet with. If you're wondering, all right, Mitch, what are some of the bets that you made this week? Well, how about this? Here are the divisional round odds, right, for every single game. I took the Bengals at plus 3.5 because they're 3.5-point underdogs. I took the Packers at -6 up against the San Francisco 49ers. I took the Buccaneers -3 up against the Los Angeles Rams. And believe it or not, I'm going to take the Bills plus 2.5 against the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, again, if you want to bet on any 4 of these games, you got to go to chatsports.com/bet. Promo code NFL Daily. Let's go to cold like Minnesota. Do you think the Vikings keep Patrick Peterson? It's a good question. I mean, Peterson now is at this point, 33, 34 years old. You already let go of Breeland. You have a major need at the cornerback position. If Peterson's willing to come back on a cheaper type of deal, then I would think about it. But also, if I was Minnesota, if he's asking for anything over $4 or $5 million a year, I'm going to say no, just because he wasn't reliable realistically for most of the season. He was to be honest, a below-average cornerback this season for Minnesota. So for that, maybe as a bounce-back year, but I'm not really going to count on it. So I'm actually going to go ahead and say no. I don't think they bring him back. Now, if you love the NFL and you want to stay up-to-date, free agency, and you want to stay up-to-date on trades, the draft, subscribe for coverage year-round. We're going to go live multiple times a week. We're going to be giving you guys videos every single day, so to make sure you guys never miss anything, and hey, join our mailbags, hit that sub button, and turn on those notifications. Let's go to Anfiny. With the rumors about Nagy and Trubisky, would Mitchell Trubisky be a solid fit for the Colts? Oh, man. Yeah, I've seen the rumors around Nagy and Trubisky. They're definitely pretty interesting. I actually thought Trubisky looked halfway decent this year with Buffalo in the preseason games that he played. Here's my thing, though. Even though I'm not the biggest believer in Carson Wentz, I would probably rather have Carson Wentz in Indianapolis than having Mitchell Trubisky, for the simple fact of I have no merit to think that Trubisky can win me games. Now, sure, Carson absolutely folded like a lawn chair, but I would have more confidence in Carson than Mitch Trubisky. Call me crazy, though. If you guys want to let me know who you'd rather have, type MT for Mitch Trubisky or CW for Carson Wentz. Let's go to Sayegh. Do you fire Cliff now or wait until they are 7-0 and get to 7-3? Even though the Cardinals had an absolute disastrous showing against the Rams this past week, they still were able to make the playoffs, which I think is, pretty damn impressive. But before the DeAndre Hopkins injury, also J.J. Watt got injured. They lost their running backs for a short amount of time. I really think the biggest reason why the Cardinals struggled near the end was more to do with injuries, not so much to do with Cliff Kingsbury. But on top of that, Cliff and the Cardinals need to be able to show that they know how to make adjustments. You're good in the first half of the season, then teams get tape on you, they learn how to stop you. Until Cliff can make those second half adjustments, people and these rumors are going to keep popping up. Though I am not going to go ahead and fire Cliff Kingsbury because I think the team was trending in the right direction before all the injuries. Let's go to Tomert Downey Jr. Should the Ravens bring back Allejandro Villanueva? Another good question here. So the Ravens, they brought in Villanueva basically once Ronnie Stanley went down with an injury. Then they traded away Orlando Brown. I like Villanueva. He's a really good veteran. He's a good dude, good locker room presence. But he was not worth the money that they went ahead and paid him. So for me, I'm actually going to go ahead and say no, I wouldn't go ahead and bring back Allejandro Villanueva. Let's go to Evan Hinders. 49ers should target Josh Sweat in a trade. I don't know exactly what it's going to cost to get Josh Sweat. He's a good player, but is he good enough to get a lot of reps, I'll say, on that San Francisco front? I'm not 100% sure that he is. San Francisco has one of the best defensive lines in all of football because of guys like Arden Key stepping up. Obviously, you have Nick Bosa. Now, if you want to bring in Sweat to be more of a rotational type of dude, you can go ahead and do so. But in terms of overall value, I mean, what would you give up for Josh Sweat? A sixth round pick? Would that be enough to do it? I mean, sure, but at that point then, if I'm Philly, maybe just say, all right, we're just going to keep him for that value. Evan, I appreciate your question. If I don't get to your question, remember, guys, you can always hit me up on IG or on Twitter. I'm at Mitchell Renz 365. Please be more than okay to slide in my DMs. I'll also keep you guys up to date with stuff going on around the NFL. If you're a Raiders fan, then you should definitely give me a follow. I would say right now, posting a lot of stuff around Las Vegas, all their GM and head coach rumors. Let's go to Colbert. Why would Sean Payton want out of New Orleans? So maybe you saw a rumor that was circulating that Sean Payton wants out of New Orleans, doesn't want to be a Saints head coach. It's not 100% true. He basically said that he would be open to the idea of going to other places if, other places were interested in him. And obviously, if Sean leaves New Orleans, he's going to be one of the top head coach candidates and would obviously get a job at a lot of places. But if I was also Sean, I could understand the idea of him not wanting to be in New Orleans. I get the fact that they were a 9-win team, but you don't have a quarterback, and your cap space right now is the worst in the NFL. That doesn't spell, hey, I want to stay here. Let's go to Anfiny. Do the Seahawks hire Vic Fangio as their defensive coordinator? It's a good question. I think Fangio is a very well-respected defensive mind. Here's where I'm going to go a little bit off ball. I think Fangio is going to be the next defensive coordinator of the Las Vegas Raiders. I think Jim Harbaugh ends up getting hired. I think Harbaugh ends up hiring then Vic Fangio as the DC in Las Vegas. So no to the Seattle, though Seattle would probably have some interest, but I'm going to go ahead and say that I think Fangio is going to be the next DC of the Raiders. Let's go to Evan Hinders. You're my favorite NFL news channel. Chase Sr. is my favorite reporter. Will Miami hire Doug Peterson? If you look at some of the betting odds out there, Peterson, I believe, I don't know if he's the front runner, but I believe he's definitely top 3 for Miami. If I was the Dolphins, I would love to bring in somebody like Doug. It's really hard to be able to find guys out there that have a Super Bowl ring. Peterson's definitely one of those guys, and I really truly believe that he deserves to be a head coach in the National Football League.